up, everybody? Welcome to the Trust Your Board podcast. My name is Stephen Wright. I am joined, as always, by Mr. William Monroe. Will, how are you doing, man?
Hello. Doing pretty well, Steve. How are you?
Pretty good. Can't complain. There's a storm rolling in up here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's just kind of waiting for that. I think we're supposed to get storms all day tomorrow.
What's the temperature like up there?
That's a good question. It's been in like the mid to high 80s. But I believe it's in the process of like plummeting right now as this storm arrives. So
chance of snow, obviously, in Canada then?
Yeah, I think we're past that, thankfully. But it wasn't. I mean, it was like mid-May we got snow. I was staying with my sister-in-law, so I was like an hour further north. But yeah, we got snow, and it was like, oh, okay, we got like 5 inches.
Not ready for that.
No, yeah, it was on a weekend. We got 5 inches, and then we drove home because we came home every Saturday to like water our plants and stuff. And then by the time we got back, it was almost all melted because it was the middle of May.
Yep, and it just melts quick.
Yeah, and it was wild. But
that's about right.
I think we're done with that for now. I hope so, because I took my winter tires off.
Yeah, well, there you go. I didn't think of that, but that seems like it's probably a mandatory thing up there.
Not legally. I know there's talks of it. I think in Quebec you have to have it, but it's just advisable. The snow piles up very quickly
sense,
here.
Probably, right?
Yeah, it's just I know how much you plow it or how quickly you plow it. It piles up. So yeah, it's better safe to just buy them.
To be expected. Things opening up there a little more around you guys.
Actually, today, yeah. They've been very cautious, and they, instead of like opening the whole province at one time, they've pretty much were like, we're going to open everything up except for like Toronto area, my area, another area called Windsor, which is by Detroit, which is apparently pretty bad. And then from there, every week they kind of like reevaluate it. So we just got lifted today. We're in like phase 2. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I think basically like businesses are opening up. Restaurants can be outside, like on a patio.
Okay.
So it's just like another step in the right direction, I guess.
That's good. It's kind of how Pennsylvania has been. I mean, they're doing it in 3 phases: red, yellow, green, and Philadelphia and surrounding counties have been just kind of lagging behind the rest of the state just because of the populace there.
Yeah, so it's a city. Yeah,
we are currently yellow, but going green as of Friday, actually.
Ah, that's nice.
From what I understand, PA is one of the states that it's been trending in the right direction, better than most. So, yeah, I know. I talked to somebody who had to drive down to Florida recently, and they were like checking people's licenses and turning people away if your license was from a certain state, but they just waved the PA people right in because I guess they trusted that Pennsylvania was going to get a bit better. So, yeah, it's interesting. Interesting with the time that we are living in.
Yeah, I've seen some stories online in Ontario of like hair salons, and they'll like test for fevers before people come in.
Mm-hmm.
And people come in and like they have to fill out a form, and they've said, we have no symptoms of COVID, we're perfectly healthy, and they show up and they test for a fever, and they're like, oh yeah, I've had a fever for like 2 days, but I don't think it's COVID.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Are you a doctor?
Yeah. No, my sister's a hairdresser, and they're supposed to be opening up on Friday as well. So like, they're all trying to get down what the protocol is going to be when people come in.
Yeah, it's tough. Like my hair's long, and like our stuff's so bidding now, and I'm not going right away. It's like, I can wait.
You
got time I can deal with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I went into I run a couple errands today, going to the beach in Delaware at the end of the week here, and got some flip flops and breaking in. First time in like a non-Target or grocery store in a while.
Very nice. Very nice. That'll be fun. Speaking of fun, Will, we have a mock draft to do.
Wow, what a transition. This guy's a pro.
I am a pro. Less than a year, and I'm just an expert at it. So we haven't, me and you have not done a mock draft together in a very long time.
No, the last few we were going over the Dynasty recap, and we've had a lot of guests on recently, so we haven't had just a regular redraft, mock draft, kind of entering non-Dynasty season.
Yeah, I think it was like guest, and then we did our Dynasty startup review, and then we had a guest, and then we did our 2019 Dynasty recap, then we had another guest. So it's like the guests are getting all the mocks, and we're getting all the conversation stuff.
Absolutely.
We got another one today. We got a 12-team PPR redraft. So I'm drafting out of the 5 spot. Will is drafting out of the 9 spot, and we're doing kind of our traditional format. So if you're new to the show, that's a 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex that's a wide receiver running back, 1 flex that is a wide receiver tight end, and then a handful of bench slots. I don't even know how many, like 6, I think. Yeah, 6 bench spots. And then
16 total, right?
Yeah, it's a 14 rounds. We don't do the deal with the kickers and the defenses. People, you wait till the last round for that. Nobody really cares.
Yep. So
we'll skip all that. So with that in mind, Will, you ready to get the ball rolling?
Yeah, you said half point or full point?
Full point.
Full point. Let's get it going.
See if we remember what we're doing here.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has. There we go. So we did get the ball rolling. Interestingly enough, Alvin Kamara going off with the 101. That's 2 weeks in a row because we saw Zeke go off with the 101 last week in the Dynasty.
We definitely had a few surprise, but a little bit of a shocker, right? A guy should be going in that area, but maybe not necessarily expected to be the number 1.
I don't know about you, but I'm not a Kamara guy this year. Like just looking at the board, I'll take CMC, Barkley, Zeke, Cook, Mixon. Above him.
I think he's probably 5 for me with in this format too, right? I think Henry and Chubb get maybe closer in the standard league, but in PPR, for sure. I mean, 3 guys that went after him right there, to you, makes sense. Cook, I think you can make the argument, but it's just running backs are so scarce. I'm looking at
and to be fair, the Cook. You have the Cook holdout that's kind of looming now, too. So.
Yep, and ideally, where everyone, myself, you, all the listeners are doing their mock drafts or doing their actual drafts as close to the start of the season as possible to avoid that. But I know, even last year, we did our real draft, which was, probably a week before the season started. Zeke slipped because he still hadn't signed and then, ended up signing a few days after our draft. So sometimes it's unavoidable.
Yeah, every year it's somebody.
Uh-huh.
Every year, there's a running back holding out. You had Gordon. We've had Bell. You had Zeke a couple years ago for something. Oh, suspension that was looming.
Yeah.
That was a year. You got him at like the 210 or something, I remember.
Yeah, that year. But then last year, I passed on him because of the holdout. And obviously, so yeah, it can bite both ways for sure.
It can. So obviously, we got everyone on the board except for the people that I named. I do tend to avoid these kind of holdout people. So Cook is a little bit, he's not further back. He's still in that top tier, but I got Mixon available to me. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab Mixon. Quite high on him this year. Do want to start the draft with running backs. I'm considering Michael Thomas, but I want to play it easy on this one. If you didn't listen, we were on, Bob's Three-Toed Warriors doing a mock draft on his show, and I started with a quarterback. So I'm going to take it easy on this show here. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in Joe Mixon. After me, we had Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams, and Michael Thomas.
So happy to see there's still some running backs I like on the board. You mentioned 9, wasn't quite positive who was going to be available there. I think top 5 that went, Henry, and then you got top of the board here, Cook, Drake, Jacobs, probably the end. That's the end of the first tier, beginning of the second tier. It's kind of the opposite of our startup draft mentality. I almost always want to go wide or go running back here in redraft just because of scarcity of the position. If you can get at least one of those guys that is going to tote the ball a ton, that's the way to go. So for me, it's pretty much a no-brainer with Dalvin Cook still on the board. How he went, right, and let's say maybe an Adams or a Henry's there, I do give some thought to Kenyon Drake. It would be a tough call between him and Devontae Adams. Tough to pass on Adams. I probably would have to go with him, but I would be thrilled to, kind of force myself into running back for the next round. But we'll make it easy here and just gobble up Dalvin Cook here in the first round. See what comes back to me here in this next round. So Kenyon Drake, Nick Chubb will go off the board, and then Tyreek at 12. Josh Jacobs on the comeback with Miles Sanders and DeAndre Hopkins. So to me, no quarterbacks, no tight ends off the board yet. Top running backs, you have Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 23rd overall ranking. So first rookie we're seeing with Gurley, Fournette, Melvin. And then we're seeing wide receivers, Julio, Godwin, Evans, Galladay, Thielen, Juju, Beckham. Love to get 2 running backs here, but I don't think I could take any of the running backs available over a Julio or Godwin. They're kind of 2 that I'm debating between right now. And I just can't pick up Julio. I know people down him a little bit more in Dynasty, but here in redraft, it's too much to pass up pairing Julio and Dalvin Cook. Pretty confident in my top 2 picks here to lead those 2 most important positions. So we'll go Julio. And a couple picks here before you, Steve. Go Travis Kelce, Austin Eckler, and Chris Godwin.
Yeah, what a nice gift to me, because I was not considering. I mean, I like Godwin, but yeah, I wasn't really considering any of them. So mostly the same people on the board here. I won't go ahead and recap. For me, it's between 2 people. It's Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Todd Gurley. It's kind of an interesting position for me because I'm not somebody that drafts rookies too early. I'm pretty scared of them usually. But I'm really not of Clyde Edwards-Helaire this year. His situation's amazing, but I also really like Gurley this year. I think I'm going to play it a little bit safer and go with Gurley. I'm really curious what I would do if this is a real draft, because, the upside guy in me is really looking at CEH. It's just, oh man. But, I try to get away from that style a little bit.
Yeah, it's tough. Rookies, there's always that chance that they bust, and I don't think he's going to bust, but there's always that chance that they don't tote him right away. Maybe they give Damon Williams, somebody else, the ball there. If Gurley's off the board, though, is there any other running backs? Jones, would you go Jones over Clyde?
No, it would be Clyde.
Yeah.
If for some reason both of them were off the board, I would be turning to the wide receiver position probably.
Yeah, it's kind of the end
picking
of this kind of tier 2 running backs.
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't like Aaron Jones. I don't get it. And maybe it's just a dynasty thing that's just creeped in my head and won't leave. But
we've
I don't know. There's
mulled him a few times in probably multiple leagues, but at least one league.
Yeah, it's just something that I'm not with. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in Gurley here. Get this out of the way. Mr. Aaron Jones did go next. We had Lamar Jackson go in the 210. George Kittle, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets to the back of the second round. Starting with the third, we had Leonard Fournette, Kenny Galladay, Le'Veon Bell, and Adam Thielen. I'm back on the clock. We have all our quarterbacks available outside of Lamar Jackson. We have all our tight ends available outside of Kelce and Kittle. Top running backs, we have Melvin Gordon, David Johnson, James Conner, Chris Carson, and Jonathan Taylor. Top wide receivers, we have Mike Evans, Juju Smith-Schuster, Odell Beckham, Amari Cooper, and Cooper Kupp. So plenty of good options here. Do you like the running backs? I'd be pretty comfortable with all those guys, but I am going to go ahead and use this pick with a wide receiver. I'm bouncing between 2. One of which I think is going to be a pretty consistent theme throughout the year, but I really want to stamp it out because it's worrisome, but I believe, and it's like typical me to believe in something like this. But I'm battling between Mike Evans and Amari Cooper.
Is it Amari that you're believing in?
It is. I'm pretty firmly on the side that his downfall last year was injury related.
Yeah.
And it wasn't your typical Amari. I mean, he just really looked like something was wrong and they were just using him as a decoy. I'm pretty firmly on that boat. I have a lot of history against me, and that's kind of why I want to get this out of my head. Because with the third pick here, if you get your old Amari, then you're setting yourself up for failure to a degree. Especially with like Gurley there. If Gurley, something goes wrong there with his knee, and then Amari Cooper's Amari Cooper, then I haven't started my draft off pretty well.
Yeah, and even Mixon, I think we're both high on him there. But with a rookie quarterback, there's still potential that maybe it takes a year for the offense to get going. Neither of us hope that happens, but yeah,
for sure.
Risky,
and
so.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, you look across the board. It's not like, I mean, Mike Evans is a pretty safe guy, but also a new quarterback. You got COVID, not being able to practice as much. You got Juju, who's got the concerns. You got OBJ, who's got obvious concerns. Cooper Kupp fell off last year. So it's not like any of the options here are terribly safe.
No. And that's what, after the first kind of round and a half, maybe 2 rounds, there starts to be question marks on everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess, you know what? We'll pick Cooper and just see how it goes. Yeah, we'll pick him and see how it goes. I feel stupid for passing on Mike Evans, though. Because it is stupid. I'm going to do Mike Evans. We had Patrick Mahomes go off the board right after me, and then Melvin Gordon and David Johnson picks to you, bud.
All right. So just Kelsey and Kittle off, just Lamar and Mahomes off. So everybody else available at the 2 positions that Steve and I usually don't look at anyway, but just for the listeners. Top running backs, looking at Connor, Chris Carson, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, Devin Singletary. Top receivers, looking at Juju, Odell Beckham, Amari Cooper, Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson. So just a couple of guys I'm really looking at here. I think Juju and Odell. I know Cooper is an interesting thought as well because of the boom bust to be able to pair with a Julio Jones. But I think it's tough for me to pass on, one of the few running backs left. Chris Carson is the one that sticks out to me. So I'm looking right now between Chris Carson and Juju Smith-Schuster. And they both have some
If I could present a bit of a tiebreaker, you could just pick the running back, and then if Juju doesn't fall to you, and I'm sure he's not, you have DJ Moore. That'll almost certainly be there.
Yeah, and that's what I look at it, right? Yeah, the top of each of them are pretty solid, but there's just so many receivers available there. Now, I also do kind of look back, right? It's still early in the draft, so you're still going to have teams that, aren't going to look away from a position just because they have it. But there is one team that has 2 running backs already, and each team has 1 already, so there's probably a chance a couple get by. But just not thrilled about some of the running backs, after the next 4 or 5. So I'd rather get a guy that I think is going to be a workhorse at least this year, and Chris Carson. And then see what receivers are still there. Maybe another running back if somebody else falls. James Conner is top of the ADP board, but I think you and I are both not super high on him this year. Chris Carson, with Penny hurt, rookie and DJ Dallas available, Carlos Hyde, not super terrified of any of them. As long as Carson's healthy, I think the workhorse. And I'd be pretty thrilled to pair him with Dalvin Cook, and then Julio with one of the solid receivers that'll get back to me here as a wide receiver 2. So we're going to go with Chris Carson, and we will see who gets back. Amari Cooper goes. DJ Moore.
Wow, DJ Moore.
Juju, Cooper Kupp, James Conner, and Devin Singletary. So interesting, yeah. A couple of receivers go off the board there. Still have Odell on the board, Allen Robinson, Calvin Ridley, A.J. Brown, Robert Woods. Quite a few guys that are, I wouldn't mind as wide receiver 2, which lends me to possibly want to look at the running back position. I know it does get a little thin eventually at wide receiver, but if I can get maybe a 3rd running back here and then pound receiver for the few rounds after that, it's interesting. And there's, a few guys still available. Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery's a nice safe RB2 or RB3 really. You got Mark Ingram on a high power offense, Raheem Mostert, and then, Kareem Hunt, a couple of rookies. For me, it's probably Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, or Mark Ingram, kind of where I want to be. Yeah, you're kind of more higher upside guy in Jonathan Taylor, or Montgomery. You kind of know what you're getting, it seems like, with him. And then Mark Ingram should be on a high-powered offense, but who knows? If he keeps the job, if Dobbins comes out looking really good. Now you still have all of your other quarterbacks and tight ends there. So Mark Andrews is appealing, but I don't think that I can reach just yet for him. You got Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson at quarterback. So for me, it's Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery probably at the running back position. And then you got Odell and you got Allen Robinson. I think I can't pass up on the shot at Odell Beckham, especially pairing him with already having 2 running backs and then Julio, kind of a safe option. He's kind of my first real boom or bust guy. Maybe you can view Dalvin as a little boom, but my first league is, I think, pretty confident with just the floor I get out of all of them. So, and this would have been a position where I would have been fine with Amari Cooper too, just because, we've seen him have big games and kind of maybe not show up in other games. Odell has been that recently, but he also has the ability to be just a consistent week in, week out. So it's going to come down to how Baker plays really with that offense. I think the offense is going to be better overall. The line got better. The run game's pretty consistent. Then you're confident in the way it's going. So it's going to be Odell Beckham for me here. Anybody that you're hoping gets back to you here in 4 picks, Steve?
I really don't know. Back when you were drafting Chris Carson, I was pretty sure I was going to go running back and then wide receiver with my next 2 picks. But if Calvin Ridley gets to me, I don't know if I could pass it up. We'll see. I mean, I like a lot of options. We'll put it that way.
That's always good. That's always good to see, especially when you're only a couple picks away. So lock in Odell here. After Odell, we have Jonathan Taylor, Allen Robinson, and David Montgomery.
So yeah, this makes for an interesting spot. I mean, Ingram's not bad. I'm not excited. Mostert's solid, also a little risky. Kareem Hunt, I'm really buying into. I like Kareem Hunt. But I'm looking at the draft board. The guy after me has 2 running backs. The guy after him has 2. The guy at the turn has 3. It's a possibility that there's a wide receiver run here. I think I'm going to roll the dice and see if somebody gets back to me. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in Ridley here. I think he has that... He's got a potential to be a breakout. I mean, a lot of people compare him to Godwin. I don't know if he has that kind of potential. Mm-hmm. Godwin was the 2 last year?
Yeah, it's just, I think, the hype train that Godwin had going into the year is kind of similar to what Ridley has.
Yeah, I mean, he's got high upside to be a 1. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in Ridley here. Hopefully a running back gets back to me that I like. We had Ingram go. We had A.J. Brown, Raheem Mostert, Mark Andrews to finish off the 4th. That's good value there. And then there's the white man. Did I call that or what?
Nice.
Robert Woods, Cortland Sutton, DJ Chark, and Tyler Lockett off the board. Man, I'm smart. So, quarterbacks, we have everyone but Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes. Tight ends, we have everyone but Kelsey, Kittle, and Andrews. At the running back position, we have Kareem Hunt, Cam Akers, Swift, Geis, Damian Williams. At the running or wide receiver position, we have Metcalf, T.Y. Hilton, Keenan Allen, Stefan Diggs, and McLaurin. So plenty of good options. I will look at the running back position now. It's not a slam dunk. I do really like Kareem Hunt this year, but Cam Akers has a ton of upside if he lands in that girly role. I mean, I essentially have 2 girlies.
Mm-hmm.
So that is appealing, but I don't think I can pass up Kareem Hunt, especially in a full PPR. This talk of him being the wide receiver 3 on the team. Now, I know Stefanski likes the power run and they really feature a guy, but I mean, Kareem Hunt's too talented to keep off the field. So I think I'm getting a good running back here as my 3rd running back. I think it's a great value. I'm glad I played the game and that paid off because after Cam Akers, I mean, I like Swift, but I mean, Geis is obviously a bit of a gamble, although I like him this year. Damian Williams, Vaughn, Dobbins, Sony, you were getting really risky after a lot of these picks. So got to lock one in now. I'll go ahead and take Kareem Hunt. The run continues here, Will. DK Metcalf, T.Y. Hilton, and Keenan Allen all go off the board.
Yeah, so definitely I think both of us are happy getting receivers in the 3rd as a run goes on there and pushes a few other positions down. And it's interesting because the top of the board, you got Zach Ertz, Kyler Murray, and Cam Akers. I'm looking at Akers or Swift if I go running back. Top receivers on the board, you have Stephon Diggs, Terry McLaurin, Devo's still there, unfortunately for now, but I'm sure that'll slide a bit. Then AJ Green, Marquise Brown, Devontae Parker, Brandon Cooks. So it seems the receiver position maybe, with that run did dry up a bit for this tier. So not looking there. For me, it's taking my shot at which of the rookie running backs I like better with DeAndre Swift, Cam Akers this year. Or, potentially going early here on a tight end or quarterback in Zach Ertz or in a guy like Kyler Murray.
I think Kyler's interesting here.
I know.
Late 5th round?
Yeah, and this is probably where you probably should start seeing quarterbacks outside of those top 2 start going. Yeah, most drafts you're probably going to see them going earlier just because there's always, a couple of owners that want to get a quarterback earlier.
Yeah, very league dependent, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So as much as I want to take Murray here, I don't think it's realistic that either he would be there or that I would take him. So for me, it's going to be between the 2 rookie running backs available still here, and then also Zach Ertz. More often than not, if I'm going to go early on one of the 2 positions, it's going to be tight end. I do feel like this is pretty good value for Ertz. We'll see what happens with the receiver position, but most of them seem like they're going to be down the field guys. Ertz and Goddard are still probably your 2 underneath guys with the running backs. So it's interesting. I'm leaning Ertz and then looking, at if one of those 2 running backs is still there. If not, you have guys like Dobbins, on Geis, all available as, that potential 3rd option. So I think I'm going to go with tight end early, see how the team ends up looking, right? That's why you do the mock draft, test it out, and in hope that maybe one of those 2 rookie running backs get back to me. Each team here has a 2, 3, and 1. So that last team probably goes 1, if not 2 running backs, 12th team. But we'll see what happens here. But we'll gamble with Ertz and see if I can't get one of those, the top 2 running backs that I was talking about there back to me. So Ertz goes, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Swift, Darren Waller, Cam Akers, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott. So maybe a quarterback run starting here.
Yeah, maybe.
But not too bad with just those 2 running backs going. Obviously, with Waller gone, there's probably no shot Ertz would have gotten back. So with the tight end position out of the way, not looking quarterback, we're kind of back to that wide receiver running back room there. You have a couple of the rookies, as I mentioned there, but one guy I think that sticks out to me, not at the running back position, is a guy like Terry McLaurin. And you and I both talked about him. Love the volume there. I think he's a good wide receiver, too, to fill in if something does happen to Odell Beckham. And then, have to kind of just load up on some running backs later in the draft. But he's kind of the last guy that I really like at the receiver position. I think there's guys that are going to be maybe, a little more boom or bust, a little safer. He's the last guy I see that kind of has the upside and the floor that I'm looking for. So we're going to go Terry here and get a 3rd receiver for a first flex option. And we'll see what gets back to you here, Steve. AJ Green, Deebo Samuel. That'll be changing, I'm sure, at some point. But Darius Geis, and then you.
Man, Geis was my pick.
Yeah.
That sucks. Ouch. So I'll run down all the positions here real quick. We got quarterback Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Drew Brees. At running back, Damian Williams, Keyshawn Vaughn, J.K. Dobbins, Sony Michel, Ronald Jones. At wide receiver, we got Hollywood Brown, Devontae Parker, Brandon Cooks, Landry, Gallup. At tight end, we have Gronk, Evan Ingram, Hayden Hurst really worked his way up here. Higbee, Hunter Henry. I do not like anyone. I don't go quarterback early. The running backs just kind of scare me. I mean, we like Dobbins, but when's he going to be effective? How often? Sony's a volume play. I don't want to deal with that right now. So I can punt that. I'd be comfortable, as we talked about on I think on Bob's podcast, Howard or Burita a little bit later. I would like Coleman's out there. There's just some later options I'd be comfortable with for my 4th running back. So I guess I'm looking at wide receiver. I do like some of the options here. I'm pretty big on Hollywood Brown this year. I kind of worrisome as my 3. He's not too bad. I'm not a Devontae Parker guy. I really worry about Cooks, but I am starting to turn a little bit. I've been concerned about the concussions, but his opportunity is immense there in Houston. So many targets are freed up, and he's bound to be the one for that team. So he is kind of attractive here. Landry, kind of your steady guy. And from there, I like the options: Devontae Johnson, Tyler Boyd. I just feel like they could probably get back to me if I want to go that route. So for me, I think it's going to be between Hollywood and Brandon Cooks. I really don't know what to do. It's possible Brandon Cooks would get back to me too. I don't think so, but they both are gambles. They're both going to be ones for their team. They're both deep threats. Brandon Cooks is the better ball thrower, and Watson, in my opinion, Hollywood's in a more explosive offense. So, I mean, they really kind of balance each other out. Man. Boy. Who do you like out of the two, Will?
So we're talking Parker and Brown, is that right?
No, Brown and Cooks.
Brown and Cooks. I mean, probably Brown. I'm just not a huge fan of those boom bust guys, but this is your sixth player, right? So going to be likely a rotational guy as your second flex. I probably lean Brown just because I think the offense is going to be better. I'm not sure about Houston. They should be pretty good, but I think we don't know. So probably lean Brown, but they're similar type players. I think we kind of know the upside of Cooks, while maybe this is a level up year for Brown since he's still growing.
Yeah, maybe. I think that's where I lean. It's just a tough decision. So I'm going to go ahead and add him. I feel like I've been adding him a lot lately. So
yeah,
we'll see what comes of draft season. So we got nope. So we have Parker go off the board, Gronk, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson to round out the sixth. Starting the seventh, we have Dobbins, Keyshawn Vaughn, Brandon Cooks, and Jarvis Landry. Another quick rundown here, so Will doesn't have to. We got Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers at running back. We got Damian Williams, Sony Michel, Ronald Jones, Marlon Mack, Alexander Mattson. At wide receiver, we got Gallup, Deontay Johnson, Tyler Boyd, Will Fuller, Jerry Jeudy. At tight end, Evan Ingram, Hayden Hurst, Higbee, and Hunter Henry. I'll make this short. I like Tyler Boyd. I think he's a nice, safer option, and he's going to pair well with Hollywood Brown. One's a boom-bust kind of guy, one's a safer PPR kind of guy, so I think they go well together. I'll add Tyler Boyd and I'll look to the running back position on the next round. Alexander Mattison, Michael Gallup, and Damian Williams go off the board right after me.
I like that, Tyler Boyd. I was actually debating taking him there because I'm not too thrilled at the running back position, but I need to go with one. So if Boyd was still there, maybe even Gallup, I probably would have maybe punted one more round. I don't think it's worth it for any of the rest of the receivers here. Deontay Johnson, Will Fuller, Jerry Jeudy's interesting, but I do try to stay away from rookie wide receivers, especially earlier on in the draft here, just because the position, like tight end, a lot of times does take some time to really solidify, maybe a couple years to keep going. Darius Slayton's another interesting shot for me as well, but with the makeup of my team, having just Cook and Carson at running back, I think running back here, maybe even the next round, the way I have to go. And Sony is interesting as a volume guy, especially at this part of the draft. But if volume guy, that would really, I feel like it'd be more of just with flex guys, with your third running back, I'm usually looking for a little more boom. I'm going to go with a guy that I historically have not been a huge fan of, but I'm looking at Ronald Jones. High-powered offense, wow. I imagine. And, I think you and I are both pretty high on Vaughn. But as we mentioned with a lot of the rookie running backs here, you just don't know if they're going to pop or not, right? And even if he does play well, I think they're going to be able to get a decent bit out of both of them. It's the seventh round. I'm just looking to get another running back. I'll probably double up with another running back after that. I like, taking a shot on either of the two Miami running backs. And I'm hoping that maybe one of them can get back to me in the eighth round here. But yeah, we're going to go Ronald Jones here. Might be the first Ronald Jones I've ever drafted. Yeah.
I don't hate it, but I also kind of do hate it.
Yeah, right. Well, you put yourself in the hole when you don't go running back in the fourth and fifth round there, getting Odell, getting Ertz. That's why you mock draft. You can see where you're at and what you're forced to take. So we're going to go Ronald Jones here and see which running backs get back to me. After that, Evan Ingram, Tyler Higbee, Tom Brady, Sony, Jordan Howard, and Marlon Mack. I probably do lean Howard out of the two, but I wouldn't mind having either Howard or Breda to go into the year because I think they probably are going to split. And both of them are, going to be decent options. Howard's probably more of a running back dependent guy, so if it's your bye week replacement, not a bad option. Breda is more interesting, especially in PPR, as a potential flex option too. So I'll take a gander at a few of the other positions here as Brady goes. All the rest of the quarterbacks are still there that you mentioned. Not going to go tight end because they have Ertz, but you have Hayden Hurst, Hunter Henry, Cook, Fant. So something to kind of take a look at. If I don't go Ertz and can get Swift there, you have an option at a Hayden Hurst, Hunter Henry here in the 8th round. Not going to give you the same production as Ertz, but probably maybe a smaller gap than Swift to Matt Breda or Cam Akers to Matt Breda. So looking back at the receiver position, still those same guys that I mentioned that I wasn't too thrilled about as well. I wouldn't mind just waiting another round to get my 4th receiver. So we're going to go with Matt Breda here. Other guys available, James White, Tevin Coleman's interesting, just because we don't know what's happening in San Francisco. Philip Lindsay, Tariq Cohen, Kerryon Johnson. But yeah, I like the somewhat floor that I think is going to be there for Matt Breda. Coleman's more of a boom bust guy, but I think I've already got that in Ronald Jones as my 3rd running back. So I'm going to want to get a little more safety in case Ronald Jones does bust out. Matt Breda's not a horrible RB3 with the rest of the team makeup. So we'll go Matt Breda and double down on running backs there to get a few more on the roster. After that, Matt Ryan, Edelman, Hayden Hurst, and your pick.
Oh, boy. I wish I would have predicted that run like I did the other one.
Yeah, all right.
I probably would have did something a little bit different. But I do want to add my 4th running back here. We have James White, Coleman, Lindsay, Cohen, Kerryon, Latavius Murray, Zach Moss. I was going to keep reading down the list. Darrell Henderson, Pollard, Justin Jackson, Chase Edmonds. Ugh. I was hoping somebody jumped out at me. I'm between 3 people, being James White, Tevin Coleman, and Tariq Cohen. James White I've kind of been off on because just the Patriots offense and what has happened to it. But in theory, he might get a lot of usage. As you mentioned, Coleman, very unpredictable. You get a lot of usage this week, not get any, but definitely valuable if most of it were to go down. Cohen, I'm sure he'll get peppered with targets. I think he had over 100 last year. I don't really see that in the cards for him again this year, but no matter what, he's going to get a lot of targets. So a very safe kind of PPR play. Mm-hmm. I think, oh man. Wow. I'm trying to think of what offense I like more between Chicago and New England. I really don't know. I almost kind of lean Chicago, which is scary. I guess I'll place my bet there. I'll take a shot on Cohen here. A high target volume, so it feels like a safer play, a nice fill-in if need be. At the position, we had Deontay Johnson, Will Fuller, James White, and Christian Kirk go off the board to round out the 8th round. Tevin Coleman, Jerry Jeudy, Manny Sanders, and Drew Brees going off to start the 9th. So we'll do a quick recap here. Quarterback, we have Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Carson Wentz, Matt Stafford. At running back, we got Lindsey, Kerryon, Latavius Murray, Zach Moss, and Darrell Henderson. At wide receiver, Slayton, Ruggs, Marvin Jones, CeeDee Lamb, Mecole Hardman. At tight end, Hunter Henry, Jared Cook, Noah Fant, Austin Hooper. A lot of wide receivers I like, or 2 big ones, it being Slayton that you've mentioned and Marvin Jones, the always underrated Marvin Jones. I do feel like I need to add another running back, though, and to just take another shot. So right now, I'm not really big on Kerryon this year. Not really big on Latavius Murray either. It's really between Philip Lindsay and Zach Moss for me. I do like Zach Moss. I think he'll get a fair amount of shares. I still think Singletary's the guy, but Zach Moss might end up being the goal line guy. Lindsay's probably got higher upside, and so many people have him painted as a Eckler type deal just because Marvin or Melvin Gordon went there, and like quarterback's different, the coaching staff's different. Like I just because the other running backs there doesn't mean it's going to come to fruition that way. So I just I don't know. I'm not in on that, but I also don't like touchdown dependent guys. It's kind of worrisome. So I guess I'll avoid that. I will go ahead and draft Philip Lindsay. I don't see that Eckler role for him, but I think he'll still be a usable asset. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in here. Josh Allen. Ooh, a lot of quarterbacks going off now. Josh Allen, Hunter Henry, and Aaron Rodgers going off the board.
Right. So we got top of the board, Carson Wentz, Matt Stafford, Drew Lock, Baker, the quarterback position, Cook, Fant, Hooper, Hawkinson at tight end. Now it's interesting because all three of the guys after me have a quarterback. With the sleeper computers, sometimes they do take two quarterbacks, but Carson Wentz is an interesting option to pair with Ertz for me here. In a real draft, good chance I'm not going to take Carson. So what I will do here is I'll probably go running back receiver. And if he gets back from the 10th, it's an interesting option. There's probably a better chance that he goes here in this mock draft with the CPUs versus an actual draft where people usually don't take a second quarterback this early, at least. So we're looking at a couple of guys here. At wide receiver, Darius Slayton's another interesting shot, especially an upside guy for me with just three receivers on the team. Got Henry Ruggs, Marvin Jones as well. Probably more of a safe option because you know what he's going to be. Still a boomer bust week-to-week player. But I think you know what you get out of Marvin Jones. And then on the running back side, Zach Moss is interesting as well. Probably the only one right here that I would consider. Given that I do have 4 running backs already, I think I'm going to lean to the receiver side because it does drop off a bit. For me right now, it's debating between Darius Slayton and Zach Moss. I think I'm actually going to pivot and go to the running back position again here. Pound that running back in. As we mentioned, dries up quick. There's not too many other guys I like, while there is some receivers that I'd like later on, maybe even in the next round. So we'll go to Zach Moss here, see if Carson Wentz gets back or one of the other receivers that I like here. But we'll triple down here on running back and get the third running back there just because you can't have too many, and they're always valuable. I
like it.
Getting carries. So Darius Slayton goes right after, and Carson Wentz, as we mentioned, CPUs don't usually follow strict guidelines. Mecole Hardman, Henry Ruggs, Kerryon Johnson, Jameson Crowder. So I'm not really looking at the running back position. You have Stafford, Locke, Baker, Big Ben, Daniel Jones, Burrow. There's still quite a few quarterbacks I like. I think Carson was kind of the last of that, potential MVP caliber guy, has that potential option. The rest of the guys here, I think, are, I'm fine with them, but don't really need to take one over the other. So we're back to the receiver position, and a guy that I just mentioned in Marvin Jones is an interesting shot here to me, especially here in the 10th round as my 4th receiver. I know what I'm getting out of him. It is a little bit of a boomer bust play week to week, but I'm confident in what I'm going to get from him in the overall season. Preston Williams is another one that interests me a little down there. I know that's someone that you like, so you may be eyeballing him coming up here. And then you have Anthony Miller, some rookies in there, CeeDee Lamb, Jefferson, Sean Jackson. But for me here, we're going to go Marvin Jones, that 4th receiver, lock down that position. I do think CPU 11 for taking Carson Wentz and getting that temptation away from me here. But we're going to go Marvin Jones. Gets back to you here, Steve. CeeDee Lamb, Matt Stafford, and Latavius Murray.
I considered Stafford briefly. It's another guy that I'm going to be targeting late, though. I think I'm going to be gobbling him a lot, given his ADP. I'm sure we'll talk about him later. So we'll do the running back and wide receiver positions real quick. Henderson, Pollard, Justin Jackson, Chase Edmonds, Antonio Gibson, Duke Johnson, Anthony McFarland there at the running back position. At wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, Anthony Miller, Pittman, Preston Williams, John Brown, D-Jax, Jalen Reagor. I am going to go wide receiver, partially because it's been a little while since I drafted one, partially because I don't like the running backs really.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a tough one. I don't like drafting rookies, but Jefferson is interesting. So is Reagor. I like them both. The pick I want to make here is Anthony Miller, but I already have Tariq Cohen, and I don't. And like, even though they're different positions, I don't want to double up on Bears, but I do really like Anthony Miller this year. So I do think I'll go ahead and grab the guy you mentioned in Preston Williams. You know, we're both high on him. You know, he's looking good last year. I'm sure he'll Fitzpatrick for, you know, a solid chunk of the year. Expecting a step forward. So I will go ahead and lock him in as a wide receiver, and then it kind of leaves me open to do what I want with my next pick here. We had Darrell Henderson, Justin Jefferson, Noah Fant, Jared Cook go off the board. That rounds out the 10th. A little bit of a quarterback run here in the 11th. Baker Mayfield, Big Ben, Tony Pollard, and then Drew Lock. So interesting. I'm going to turn. Oh, you know what I'm going to do real quick here, Will? I'm going to recap my team. So far, 10 picks in. We have Joe Mixon, Todd Gurley, Kareem Hunt, Tariq Cohen, and Philip Lindsay. At wide receiver, Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, Hollywood Brown, Tyler Boyd, and Preston Williams. So pretty well balanced team. Still need my tight end. Still need my quarterback. I'm going to take a look at the tight end position. We have Austin Hooper, not excited about. Hawkinson, also not excited about. Gesicki, I like Gesicki. But I just got Preston Williams. Blake Jarwin, he's fine. Jonnu Smith, I really like this year as a breakout. So I do think I am going to take my shot at my tight end. I'll probably go a little bit early, but I don't want to risk him not getting to me. I'm sure he would, but sometimes you got to jump ADP a little bit to get who you want. I'm looking around. I mean, Anthony Miller's still there. Pittman's interesting. I mean, there's still some wide receivers I like, so I could probably play the game. Should I play the game? Man, if I don't get him, I'm really not going to be happy at tight end, but I'll play the game. I'll play the game. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump ADP in the wide receiver position. I don't know if it's going to make you mad or not because you got Ertz already, but I'm going to take a rookie in Jalen Reagor.
I like that. I had him queued up as an option for one of the next couple rounds here. I think he's one of the rookie receivers that we're going to see, you know, get a lot of work. So I do think he'll be fantasy relevant this year.
Yeah, for sure. Great opportunity, especially if Alshon ends up on the pup.
Mm-hmm.
So we had Anthony Miller go off right after me. We had Daniel Jones and then Michael Pittman.
Right. So there's only a few guys that I think I'd take a shot at the running back position, and I already have 5. I don't really need to go here. I've got my tight end. So at this point, I'm looking, do I like our quarterback enough to lock it in now? Or do I want to keep pounding that wide receiver position, given that I only have Mark Andrews is only my 4th. And for me, there's not any receivers that stick out more than a quarterback. A couple years in a row here in my other redraft league with my home league that I've been going for about 12 years, I've gotten in about a year early on a quarterback. A couple years in a row. I had Mahomes 2 years ago, and then Lamar last year. Let's see if I can call my shot. I was hoping that Kyler wouldn't have the year he had last year, and he would be gone later. But alas, I think it's for me, it's going to be Joe Burrow this year. Don't think it's too early here, but there's not really anybody else I'm super thrilled with. Rivers, Garoppolo, Goff, Tannehill, decent quarterback options, but nobody that's blowing me out of the water. Burrow's a guy that I think could boom early, and if he does, great. If he comes out and is not looking good after 2 or 3 games, I don't mind cutting him and rolling with a waiver wire guy. So we're going to go Joe Burrow here, and then see what the receivers and running backs come back to me here that I don't mind taking a shot on. So after Burrow, Austin Hooper, Sterling Shepard, John Brown, Chase Edmonds, Deshaun Jackson, and Duke Johnson. Chase Edmonds is one of the 2 running backs that I said, on my list here that I thought has a shot. I don't mind, drafting him this late. And then if something happens to Kenyon Drake, you got a good shot at having a guy that's going to be valuable. Maybe he gets a couple of good games and you can trade him for more than you would get here in the 12th. The other guy is someone that I'm not going to really take this early and definitely still need the wide receiver position. So I'm looking at a couple guys. We got top of the board here, Sammy Watkins, Steve's favorite player. We got Brandon Ayuk on the Niners there, Mike Williams, Rashad Perriman, Alshon, Golden Tate, and Alan Lazard. So the two guys that stick out to me are Mike Williams, who Steve and I have talked about recently since I just traded for him in a Dynasty League. I think he's got upside. I know, Steve, you mentioned you were a little hesitant on how good that offense can be this year. And that is something that does give a little bit of a pause. And then Alan Lazard's a guy that I'm really high on. He's a little further down the ADP, obviously in a real draft. Not talking it over with someone who could potentially take him, but I know Steve wasn't a big fan. In this scenario, I think there's a better chance that he gets back to me to get another receiver there. So I'm going to go with Mike Williams in this spot. And then there's other, kind of Alan Lazard level players that could come in and do some, do some work, but don't have to rely on them. So we'll go Mike Williams here as my fifth receiver. It's pretty happy with pairing him with a couple of the guys I have. We'll recap that at the end. And we'll see what goes off the board here before you, Steve, Justin Jackson, Mike Gesicki, and Sammy Watkins. Man, I know you're bummed about that.
Yeah, real upset. But I am quite happy. My tight end made it to me, so that's a good start. So the tight end I'm sure I'm going to be targeting a lot this year is going to be Jonnu Smith in Tennessee. Got him listed as a breakout candidate. We started seeing at the end of the year last year. Mm-hmm. I was just reading off the stats on Twitter with someone earlier today, and I wish I remembered what they were, but I think it was like most of the year. I mean, he was trash with Mariota. Yeah. Once Tannehill came in, he was like around tight end 15. And then I think if you look on weeks like 12 or like 10 through 16, he gets up to tight end like 11. And if you look at 12 through 16, he's up at like tight end 7 or something like that. So they really started getting connection. I mean, that offense is bound to be a little bit less efficient, but I think he could overcome that. Dude's a freak athlete. So he's the guy I'm targeting. Take care of that tight end position. Now I'm hoping my quarterback gets back to me. But Brandon Ayuk go right after me. Oh. Antonio Gibson, Rashad Perriman, Golden Tate round out the 12th. Starting with the 13th, we have Alshon, Anthony McFarland, Phillip Rivers, and TJ Hawkinson. So I'll run down the board real quick here. At QB, Garoppolo, Goff, Tannehill, Tua. At running back, Boston Scott, Carlos Hyde, AJ Dillon, Damian Harris. At wide receiver, Alan Lazard, N'Keal Harry, Tyrell Williams, Hunter Renfrow. At tight end, Blake Jarwin, Eric Ebron, Dallas Goedert. My quarterback is here. The quarterback I am sure I will be targeting plenty this year is Mr. Jared Goff. Once they figured things out last year.
Did our draft that we're doing now switch your tone on Mr. Jared Goff?
Not really. I've been rising on him over the past few weeks. I've never been a Goff fan, but I mean, we've seen his upside before. Mm-hmm. Clearly has a lot of it. And, once they figured out the offense last year, I think it was like a week. Let me see. I got it marked as week 12. So around that later year when Higbee really started blowing up and the offense really came together, he was QB 10. So he was a 1. I'm getting a 1 in the 13th round with upside to be, plenty higher than that. So I love the pick. I'm sure I'll be all over him this year. We'll lock it in. Carlos Hyde, Boston Scott, and Naeem Hines going off the board.
All right. So all the guys that I was still looking at are available here. So there's a couple of receivers I like. I think I'm going to go with one of them here, and then either another one of them or the running back that I'm looking at here. Or I think the running back you and I both talked about. It's Mr. Jerick McKinnon. I think he's a good, as you mentioned as well, late round shot guy that you can, cut if he's not being used in the first week or two. But in that offense, we don't know who the running back could be week to week. So there's a shot that maybe he booms in the first couple of weeks and runs away with the job like Mostert did at the end of last year. But the top two receivers that have been rising for me are Alan Lazard and Russell Gage. I think Russell Gage is more of a volume play guy just because we'll see how Hayden Hurst does at the tight end position. But typically the wide receiver 3 has been a viable option on Atlanta's offense. But Alan Lazard is kind of a more of a boom bust guy for me here. As long as he, from what I predict here takes over that wide receiver 2 role in Green Bay. I think there's a good option that you got, Aaron Rodgers' number 2 option. Case Sternberger, I think, takes a step up, but I'm not really, thrilled about any other receiving options behind Devontae Adams. So I think Lazard's my pick here. 2 other guys that interest me are Robbie Anderson and Curtis Samuel. But I feel like I wouldn't take one while the other one's on the board because I just have no clue which one's going to be more valuable. And it's interesting that you had CMC go obviously early, DJ Moore, but then no other really skilled players on this team are getting drafted at all here in the first 13 rounds.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see such a drop-off. With a guy like Curtis Samuel, that was somewhat valuable in the last couple of years, but I think a lot of people, you and I both, think he's maybe a little nerfed because maybe Robbie takes some away from him. So I'll go Alan Lazard here and see which guys get back to me here in the next round. So it was AJ Dillon, Eric Ebron, Jimmy Garoppolo, Blake Jarwin, who I do like as a nice tight end late round shot there, N'Keal Harry, and Ryan Tannehill. So still have my pick of players here. I think instead of McKinnon, I'll leave him for you if you do want to scoop him up. I think I'd take my shot on Robbie Anderson. Boomer bust guy, he's going to a new offense. We'll see what he can do there. Russell Gage, I do as much as I like him. I think if with these other guys on the board, I would probably take them over him. And I've always been a Robbie fan. He's just, got to get in the better offense, got to stay healthy, but we'll see what he can do there. And I like the new coach, or I guess coordinator from LSU. We'll see what he can bring to the offense there, but we'll go with Robbie and leave this last pick here to you. Darrington Evans, Damian Harris, Dallas Goedert, to you.
Yeah, so McKinnon probably would be my pick if we're doing an actual draft, but I guess I'll use this time to call out another player here. Going deeper down the ADP list again, we have Mr. Paris Campbell here. How forgotten he is for redraft.
It's true.
Entering his second year, got hopefully a quarterback upgrade. We'll see. Hopefully he can stay healthy, but tremendous opportunity. I mean, Pittman went a lot earlier.
Yeah. Much
I don't even,
the rookie fever still alive and well.
For sure. Yeah, there he is, 11-8. So, 3 rounds later, you're getting a guy that's already been in the offense entering the second year. Not going to pass that up. I think it's a pretty good late shot to take. So, we'll lock in Paris Campbell. We had O.J. Howard, Adrian Peterson, Tyrell Williams, and D.D. Westbrook go off the board here. Go ahead and round out our teams here. So, for me, at quarterback, I got Jared Goff. At running back, we got Joe Mixon, Todd Gurley, Kareem Hunt, Tariq Cohen, Phillip Lindsay. At wide receiver, we have Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, Hollywood Brown, Tyler Boyd, Preston Williams, Jalen Reagor, and Paris Campbell. And then at tight end, got Johnny Smith. Love it. Wish I had a better wide receiver 4, or a running back 4, but I don't see anything that would really trade in necessarily. So I like this team. What, you want to give a rundown of yours?
Yeah. So running back, Dalvin Cook, Chris Carson, Ronald Jones, Matt Breida, Zach Moss. Wide receiver, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, Terry McLaurin, Marvin Jones, Mike Williams, Alan Lazard, Robbie Anderson, Joe Burrow at quarterback, and Zach Ertz at tight end. Pretty solid. I'm happy with the team overall. Maybe the middle round there, Odell and Ertz, maybe go different or go with the running back instead. But overall, I like the depth that I was able to get there. Running back is probably my only real question mark. Quarterback, we'll see what happens with Burrow. But you got replacement level guys available. But I'm pretty happy with the receiving. And Zach Ertz always makes it a little easier if you're weaker at one of those positions to have kind of just a stable value there.
Yeah, for sure. I like it as well. So that concludes our mock draft here today. Please remember, give us a like if you can. We'd really appreciate it. It would help us out a lot. You can follow us on Twitter at TrustYourBoard. Tag us in all your poll questions. We love to retweet and comment on everything. So thanks for joining us today. Always remember to trust your board.